Latest football news, engaging debates,
and fascinating opinions.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk. Back on IO Radio's Fridays at 5 p.m. for another week of football action with me, George, as always. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying, the British summertime, which isn't very summery. It's more autumn. It is. It's just abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. But don't worry, we've got plenty of football action coming back. Football is nearly here. Less than 12 hours to go until football is kicked and the football season will start once again. And as always, I better introduce our resident Ipswich Town fan and co-host, as always, who's been here for over 100 odd episodes now. It is Dan. Dan, how are you doing, mate, as always?
Pretty good. Excited about the new season starting. It's finally here. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Well, not really a long time because it sort of finished quite late, So
yeah, it has gone quite quickly. Actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, it actually has gone quite quick. It's mad to think, but it is so close. It's only 12 hours away, and it's going to be the most horrible 12 hours of our lives because we just want it to be here, but it won't be, will it? Well, before I mention what's coming up in today's show, I better mention the social media as always. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk. Instagram is @talk_pitch. YouTube, it's got both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any other previous shows, if you missed anything from last week's show, don't worry. It's up there on our YouTube Mix. You can listen to that if you want to. Well, what is coming up in today's show? Well, we're talking about Ipswich Town. As always, we're going to be looking at the up-and-coming season, talking about their final pre-season friendly game they had against Millwall on Saturday at Portman Road, and we'll be previewing the season, asking Dan some very intense questions, what we should be expecting from Ipswich Town and the season. We're even going to get his prediction of where they're going to be finishing, and a little quick preview for the first game of the season opener against Morecambe. And also we're going to be doing a football roundup, a big football roundup for you, because we've had lots of big news with big players from around the football world. But when we come back, we're going to be talking about Ipswich Town and, what's been going on in pre-season and what could we expect this season. So don't go anywhere.
Stay up to date with the latest footy news.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on iRadio's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George and Dan, as always. Now, before we move on, talking about Ipswich Town this week, looking back at what happened in pre-season and previewing the up-and-coming season, which starts now in less than 12 hours to go before the ball is kicked off at 3 p.m. versus newly promoted Morecambe. I better mention the social media. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk. Instagram is at talk_pitch. YouTube, Mixer, both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows, do not worry. They're all up there on the YouTube and Mixer. All 101 episodes. Yes, that's how many episodes we've now recorded. 101. That's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers, Dan. And, we've done that many. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely bonkers.
Mental.
It is absolutely mental. Well, Ipswich Town, the new season is starting to dawn. Close on us, less than 12 hours to go before the kickoff versus Morecambe at 3 up against newly promoted Morecambe at 3 p.m. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we need to look back at the week Ipswich Town have had where they played their final pre-season game at Portman Road, previewing the new season in League One as general, because it looks like it could be the most competitive since yet, really, with all the clubs bolstering. We're going to ask Dan his predictions where Ipswich Town are going to finish the season and the ones to watch, top goal scorer and surprise package for the whole season. We're going to make him, say something ridiculous and then it'll all be wrong at the end of the year, make these crazy predictions.
Of course it will.
Yeah, always will be. And previewing the season open against Morecambe. So pre-season, it came to an end on Saturday as Town played their final game at Portman Road versus Championship opposition and Millwall, but it ended in a defeat, a 3-0 defeat to be accurate. The South London team were very good value for money, controlling the game. But Dan, you went to this game. This is the first game you have been back to Portman Road since March 2020, or 511 days between games. Yep, that is sad. I have calculated how many days it is between you going to your last game at Portman Road. But I want to ask you, firstly, before we look into the game, what was it like going back to Portman Road? Your emotions, not being there in such a long time, part of your life for so long, going to Portman Road and then having that massive break not going. But what was it like being back at Portman Road? Was it was it sort of the same energies you had last time? Or was it something brand new?
Um, it was so good to be back. As you said, it's been so long since I've sat in that north stand. It feels like there's just more hope than there usually is. Like there's a bit more enthusiasm about the place. I know there was only, I think there was just under 4,000 people there. Obviously, it's just a friendly. There's not going to be that big of an attendance, but there was just a bit of. It just felt like there was optimism around the place. Obviously, there was the new. I can't remember what they called them. The things on the side of the stadium,
Oh,
like
the
the facts
posters.
going along. Yeah, which looked really good on the side of the stadium. I forgot to mention that before the show, actually. To you.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, it just felt so good to be back, and I think it made me, even more buzzing for the start of the season, because it's going to be, a full stadium against Morecambe. I can't wait for it.
No, I can't as well. I think that Ipswich Town reported about 19,000 tickets have been sold so far. They're expecting 20,000, just over 20,000 for the first game of the season. That's actually pretty good against a newly promoted side as well, Morecambe. But, to have that many people back, such a big boost. But we need to look at the result a little bit here, because unfortunately, your return to Portman Road didn't end in the victory. I know it's pre-season, but it ended in the victory. That's now back-to-back losses in the 511 days, because Coventry, that ended in a 1-0 loss. I can remember that because I went to that and it was absolutely appalling game under Paul Lambert. But not the result we really wanted to see. But I think this result, does it sort of bring Ipswich Town fans just back to earth a little bit? Got a little bit carried away with sort of all the brand new signings, getting these sort of looking really good against these teams. But this result here just brings them back down to earth a little bit with a bump, unfortunately.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. But I don't think we can read too much into it. It's a pre-season friendly at the end of the day, against a Millwall side who, we expect them to be top half Championship, don't we? So it was a poor game. There's no. I think we were good in spells. I think probably from 25 to 40 minutes, we looked quite good attacking. We were putting the pressure on, but they got us on the counter attack, and that was about it, really. Yeah, I think they dominated the second half, really. We're quite poor defensively, but as I said, it's a pre-season friendly. It's not going to be perfect every time, and against a team who are obviously better than us. What can you expect, really? That's what I'd say. But there was a few individual performances that I found, impressive, I guess. I think defensively is where we've got to look at and where the problems lie at the moment for me. Because I think the 3 Millwall goals were pretty easy. I think they were quite worrying how easy they were. So yeah, it was quite disappointing, really. But you got to remember it's a pre-season friendly, so it's not gonna affect anything. You don't get 3 points for a friendly, do you?
No, you don't. But some fans, they forgot. They forgot it was a pre-season friendly. Don't they? Especially on Twitter, they always forget about pre-season friends. But Paul Cook, after the game, he spoke to media about how Ipswich Town is a work in progress. He was just comment saying we are still a work in progress, but still working hard as a work in progress, which is exactly what we are. If anyone thinks this isn't a work in progress, well, they are foolish, very foolish. We have signed some good players, and in reality, people think we can just win the league, but the football is not like that. And they probably said that in a very high-pitched voice. So I'm not going to react because I'll probably break my voice. We have worked so hard to integrate the new players, and how long it has taken us is a big thing. But it could be done. This could be a world of good for us. It brings everybody back down to earth with a little bump. As I said, there's some fans were getting carried away earlier on with the results, but this result doesn't mind fans that Ipswich Town is a work in progress. We have to remember here, this is a big. I think this is like sort of baby steps here in a big project. I know it was Mike Ashton was speaking in the fan forum saying about there's no pressure about getting up this season. It's ideal to get up this season, but there's no pressure to do it. We want to build a squad that's going to have longevity and a club. But most importantly here, you've got to think for the players as well. This result here might do them a world of good because they haven't sort of experienced a loss yet with Ipswich Town. No, this might be the best thing that's might happen to them before the start of the season, a loss.
Yeah, maybe it sometimes works out like that. Like I think with a new team like we have, the amount of transfers that we've made, it's going to take time, isn't it? We can't expect them to gel immediately and be a really good footballing side just like that, because it doesn't work like that. Some of these players have played with Paul Cook before, obviously, so know his playing style, which is, that will help. But the players haven't played with each other before, so it's going to take time to get used to the way each other plays. So you can't expect a miracle, and I think us fans get carried away, especially after the signings we've made. It's easy to get carried away with how the club is looking, as we're looking completely on the up at the moment, aren't we? So it's easy to get carried away. So I'm going to go into this the start of the season, obviously with high hopes, because I think we need to go into it with high hopes, but not with we're going to win every single game type of attitude, because it's happened twice now where we've gone into a season and dominated the league until October and bottled it and then finished mid-table. So we've got some really good players and hopefully a team that will gel. But I think it's going to take time, and we've got to be patient. And I think that's what the owner and Paul Cook have kind of been saying, that things are going to take time and there's going to be bumps in the road. And maybe this is the first one, and hopefully it will help these players, because as you said, there hasn't been a loss like that so far in pre-season. So hopefully that'll help them, I guess, in the long run. But yeah, let's see what happens at the start of the season. We've got some tough games early on. I think September we got some tough games. So let's see how we play in them, and not expect 100 points, 100 goals.
That's going to be our next question. 100 points.
Oh, no.
Surely that, you're saying that's not on the cards. Come on, that's always on the cards.
Yeah, it is always on the cards. That's not very, very realistic at all, is it?
No, unfortunately not. Well, Dan, you had the chance to see some of the new players in action for Ipswich Town over the weekend. Not all of them, because, two of them, one of them is injured, as we can gather. The other one we don't really know about his whereabouts. Scott Fraser, we don't know his whereabouts, and George Emerson is injured. Paul Cook has confirmed. But you saw play for Town on the weekend with Hideki, Penny, Evans, Harper, Burns, Piggott, McKady Bond, and Chaplin. I want to quickly ask you, what is your first impressions on the new signs on each one, and how much of a big role they're going to play in the season for Ipswich Town? Because there's a lot of players that are going to be need to integrate into the squad. I can't speak. Are going to be involved in the squad. That's what they're going to be integral of the season. But what did you sort of think to all the signings that came through the door, and what sort of major impact they're going to have on the squad this season?
Yeah, so there was a few that I was impressed with and a few that I weren't. Obviously, it's just one game, so that's how it goes. But starting with Halagki, he looks like a very, very solid keeper. He made a mistake for their first goal, but some of the saves he made from close range, I can't remember who it was for. I think Benikofobi was playing for Millwall. I think it was his shot from close range. Yeah, I didn't realise he actually played for Millwall. There you go, learn something new. But yeah, he made a fantastic save with his leg from close range. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to see how he does over a season, because he looks like a really good goalkeeper, which we've been missing for quite a while, as we know. So yeah, I'd give him, I'd say that he's got some promise. Penny, he had a quiet game, unfortunately. Probably the player that I know least about as well. I'd say we need he's probably going to be our starting left back going into the season, because I don't know when we're going to sign these new players that are being told are being looked at. But I think left back is probably where we need to look. But he looked okay for the first half an hour, I'd say. But apart from that, he didn't really do anything. And I think the Millwall, they were playing wing backs. We were playing quite narrow, as I think we were kind of trying to play a 4-2-3-1 with the number 10 being the striker playing more forward. But the wingers were coming in and they were having free reign down our left and rights, and I don't think our fullbacks could really deal with it. So Penny didn't have a great time against, I don't know the player, but the player who played wing back for Millwall on the right, which is unfortunate. We'll see how he plays against League One opposition. I think Evans and Harper in the middle, they look really, really solid in the middle. They look like a tidy pair. I feel like when we play against teams that don't have as much quality as us, they're going to run rings around them. I was really, really impressed with Harper and Evans. They're just so tidy on the ball, and I think Evans can ping passes to the wings, and Harper is, I'd say Harper is that Scouse type of player. He just picks up the ball whenever he needs to, and has got a good pass on him as well. So. Yeah, really impressed with them too.
A quick question before we move on from the midfield there.
Yeah,
is Lee Evans the captain material everybody has been saying about? Because he is rumoured to be the new captain. We don't know still yet, but he's rumoured to be that captain for Ipswich Town this season.
Yeah, he's not very vocal. I didn't hear him at all. But it's obvious that he's going to be captain, I'd say. He's a player that Paul Cook knows very well. And hopefully he can provide that in the middle of the park. You don't have to be vocal to be a good captain, do you? So let's hope that he can be a good captain material. And yeah, I'd say that it's pretty much nailed on that he's going to be captain. Going on to Wes Burns, I think he had quite a quiet game. He looks he's very quick down the wing. I think he could be very dangerous. His final product wasn't at it, unfortunately, in this game. He's trying to put crosses in that were going nowhere, and it's unfortunate because I think there's definitely a player there from what I see in this game. So yeah, I look forward to see how he does over a season as well, because I think I couldn't believe how fast he was, really. I didn't expect how pacey he actually was. He's going to be a good winger for us. Who's next? Pigott. He looks like a handful up front. We're playing it long quite a lot. I guess there's a risk of him being quite isolated, but he's definitely going to be a handful for defenders. He was being brought down a lot. I think he's good at holding the ball up, and obviously he's got them goals to come, which is really exciting. So I think he's going to be a really good striker for us. Again, I really look forward to seeing how he does over a season and how many goals he scores, because it's looking exciting. Bon, I think, was quiet as well. He kind of played. I think Pigott and Bon kind of switched round. They were playing together, but they were kind of playing. One was playing as a shadow striker, and they kept swapping around. I think it was mainly Bon who was playing behind Pigott, especially in the first half. That's what I noticed. But I think we were playing the ball long quite a lot, so he wasn't really involved. But I think he looks quite tidy on the ball. I don't think this game really shows what he could do, and I don't know. He just wasn't really in it, unfortunately. But he's got that championship quality. He's scored goals in the championship, so let's see how he does. Chaplin, he didn't really have time to do much either. Oh. He came on 75. He did a very good chip over the Millwall defence that put Vincent Young in, because then Asien came on and Paul Cook decided that Vincent Young was going to play on the right wing, which he looked much more dangerous there, which I was quite surprised about. He was much more attacking when he played on the right wing. But yeah, Chaplin put a really good chip ball through to him. It was really clever. He couldn't finish it, unfortunately. He looks like a player that can run at defences, cause a lot of problems. I think he's a really, really positive player. Just wasn't enough time to really show that, unfortunately, in this game. But again, an exciting player. So out of them, it was really two that were a bit disappointing, which was Penny and Burns. I think Burns didn't have that final product, and Penny just was getting mobbed down that left hand side, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a preseason friendly. I'll say it again.
Yeah, we have to remember it is preseason, and looking at maybe not all these players will start. We don't know yet. We still don't know what Paul Cook's going to start with, but that's nice to get your first impression of that, because I've sort of not. I know it's not bad. I've heard a lot about the signs, but there hasn't been much out to sort of see in the highlights. It's been very quiet for a preseason for Ipswich Town. I thought they would have the highlights out, but not very good like that. But well, we're gonna have a little break. We're gonna have a little break before we go on into previewing the up and coming season this year in League One and for Ipswich Town in general. We'll have a little break, just to, a little half time before we go into the second half where we have the main event. So we'll be back in a few moments.
The best place in Ipswich to hear the latest football debates, Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on iRoad. It's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George and Dan, as always. Now, before we move on, resuming our chat about Ipswich Town and previewing the up-and-coming season, I better mention the social media Twitter is at Pitchside Talk, Instagram is at Talk_Pitch, YouTube and Mixer both at Pitchside Talk. And if you've missed anything from today's show, if you missed our talk about Ipswich Town's pre-season and get Dan's thoughts on returning back to Portman Road in 111 days, what he thought of the performance, what he thought of each signing he saw as well at Portman Road on Saturday. Don't worry, 6 p.m. on YouTube and Mixcloud. It will be up there for you to listen back and listen live, all that sort of stuff. Well, now we better move on to previewing the League One season and previewing its town season as well, and the season open against Morecambe. Now, Dan, the preseason chat is nearly over. The gloves are about to come off as 24 teams battle it out for promotion. Well, not all 24. 3 of them will battle to not be relegated, but still 24 teams are battling it for promotion. But this season looks like every team has strengthened. A lot of strong teams now in League One, and every team has had a verbal dig throwing them at each team. Lots of verbal digs. Checkbook FC for a start, and many others. But Dan, this season looks like it's going to be more closer, more tense than last season. Lots of clubs are making big signings here. We've seen Wigan; they're doing the same as Ipswich. They're rebuilding as well. We've seen a lot of high quality players come down to League One. Lots of high quality teams as well from the Championship. Sheffield Wednesday and Rotherham coming down as well from the Championship to League One. Wycombe back in League One as well. Lincoln sort of making signs. Portsmouth got a new management as well, making some signs as well, and many, many more. This season here is going to be so hard to predict. And if it's like anything like last season, we ain't going to be knowing who's going to be finishing top until probably 1 minute before the final whistle on the final day of the season.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It's so unpredictable this season, the teams that are in there, and the quality. A lot of people have been saying it's Championship 2, pretty much. There's so much quality, and I guess that's not good for us in a way, but good for us in ways as well. I think it's going to be very, very difficult it's going to be difficult for every team to finish top 2. Obviously, there's got to be 2, but it's going to be a very difficult season. I feel like it's going to be a very long season as well. It's going to drag out. I think with the amount of decent teams, it's gonna. I reckon it'll go to the last game, which we all love, but it's nerves, isn't it? If Ipswich are involved in the last day of the season, I can't even remember who we play on the last day, but
I'm gonna look that up actually.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
Keep talking.
but yeah, but yeah, the signings being made by clubs, as you said, Wigan are making so many signings. I think they got new owners as well, didn't they? So they're spending money. Charlton, I think, are a good side. Obviously, the team's coming down. Sheffield Wednesday, they're still making signings, even though they've got a transfer embargo, can only sign at contract players. But they're making some some signings are like, well, they're good League One players. Obviously Wickham and Rotherham coming down. Rotherham are always a good team. Wickham, I think, will be up there as well, like they were 2 seasons ago. Lincoln, Portsmouth, Sunderland, Oxford, they're all good sides in this league. MK Dons, they're all going to be up there, so it's going to be very difficult to predict, and it's going to be a difficult season. But I'm still confident with the players that Ipswich have got, the players we've got in. I still think are good enough to do well in this league.
Here we go. Ipswich Town side's now coming out of him. But yeah, it's going to be a tough season. Well, Ipswich Town, actually, their final game of the season is actually against one of the sides that you actually named, Charlton Athletic, final game of the season.
Could be a big one.
You never know. That could be right
home
there.
Or away?
Home.
Oh, okay. Nice.
That could be the biggest game in a long time. That
could be.
Could potentially be. But we said that about Fleetwood. And yeah,
look how that went.
Yeah, it didn't go too well. But we just signed one of their players because he scored against us. But now moving on to Ipswich Town a little bit, we're now looking a little bit more of an in-depth look in Ipswich Town this season. And Dan, I'm going to ask you just straight away, who's going to be that one to watch this season? It could be a player that's already at the club. It could be one of the new signings. But for you, who's going to be that one to watch this season for Ipswich Town? You know, who's going to be the one that you're going to go, he's the one we need to be watching?
Yeah, so for this one, I've gone for a new signing. And for people who listened to last week's show, it probably won't be a surprise. But I've gone for Connor Chaplin. I think I said last week how much of a player I rate him. And as I said earlier, he didn't really have enough time to impact the game on Saturday. But he's going to be such an influential player this season. I just think he was, influential in a Barnsley side who got in the playoffs last year in the Championship. The fact that we managed to sign him, I still can't believe. So, yeah, I think he's going to be such an impactful player. Whether he's going to be starting every game, I don't know. But even coming off the bench, he's going to make such an impact. The trickery he has, the type of player he is. I can't wait to see him in action. Obviously, I think this is a tough one because there's a lot of players who impressed. I was going to pick Raheem Harper as well. I think he was on the list of one of the players I think will be really good this season, but I've gone for Chaplin in the end.
That's an interesting one. I wasn't actually expecting that from you. I was expecting somebody different, but
okay.
I'm shocked. Well,
I'll probably be proved very wrong, but there you go. But that's just my predictions.
At the end of the season, I'm going to remind you of all these predictions. I'm writing it down. Colin Chaplin, one to watch. Well, the next thing I'm going to ask you is who's going to be the top goal scorer at Ipswich Town. The last few seasons it's been James Norwood and Caden Jackson, but not really with too many goals, only just scraping into the double figures. Caden Jackson, was the pandemic season, so we can't sort of say he didn't have a full season, but James Norwood did. He only just got into the double figures. But for you, who's going to be Ipswich Town's top goal scorer? Who's going to be firing in the goals week in, week out? Who's going to be possibly firing the goal that maybe sends them to Wembley, maybe sends them into the automatics? Who's going to be sent, or maybe to the League One title? Who's it going to be?
Yeah, again, I don't think this is going to surprise anyone with the player I'm going to pick here. Obviously, it's going to be Joe Pigott. He scored, I can't even remember how many goals he scored for Wimbledon last year.
You need to look up.
Yeah, go on. I know it was 20 something. It might be 20 actually. The fact that he scored that many goals against for a struggling Wimbledon team shows how good of a goal scorer he is. He's going to be our main striker. I think Paul Cook sees him as that. It's a no-brainer, really. Who's going to be our top goal scorer? Sorry, go on.
He scored 20 goals last season.
Okay.
So how many is he going to score in the Town shirt? Is the question.
Well, I'll be happy if he scores 20 goals for us this year because it was Darryl Murphy the last time we got that amount. So I'll be very happy with 20 plus. But yeah, I think he's our number one goal scorer, really, isn't he? So yeah, it's an easy pick for me.
Okay, that's an easy pick for him. And finally, this is the big question: who is going to be the surprise package this season for Ipswich Town? Who's going to be the player that you're just going to go, whoa, I wasn't expecting that from him this season?
I've gone for Armando Dobra. I think he's probably an obvious one as well, really, isn't he?
Yeah, he
thinking
is.
about it. I think he's had a really good pre-season. Hopefully this will be the season that he breaks into the first team. And when he does, and when he gets that confidence up and games under his belt, I think he'll be a fantastic player for us. I know there's some people out there that don't really rate him. I've seen a bit on Twitter about that, which surprised me a little bit. From one podcast that I won't mention, who I think you know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
But they don't really like Dobra over there, which is surprising because I think he's got such quality. He's one of these players that can run with the ball. As so much pace, and it's hard to get a footing on him. So I think if he can break into the first team, he's going to be the surprise package and hopefully an important player for us this year.
Hopefully he will be a very important player as well. Well, we better move on to Ipswich Town now in full. A prediction. The window, has been very successful for Town. What we've been seeing coming in. The pre-season has been pretty good. Hasn't been dreadful. Hasn't been like the last few seasons. I think it's probably been the best in quite a long time. But Dan, another big year faces Ipswich Town. High expectations for Paul Cook side to meet, and also for the board as well, because this is a brand new thing for Mike Ashton as well. With the board and all that, it's sort of a new pace, which is Town, new owners as well. Unfortunately, not going to be there for the season opener because of quarantine rules. God's sake, that's really quite annoying. But will this season be the season where Ipswich Town deliver on those expectations? Not just for August, October. I'm talking August to April or even potentially May if the season does go over to May. But there's still a little bit of a concern that there's quite a lot of questions here that still need answers. They haven't even been answered yet. But this season is mega for Ipswich Town, in just what's going on with the project. And it needs to have some sort of a trajectory. It is going up instead of going backwards.
It does, yeah. This is a huge season. Not only for us as a club, I think for the owners and the investors. I think they're not going to invest in a club that's languishing in League One. So I think it's important for us to go up this year. As we said before, it's going to be a tough season, and I don't think we're done for transfers. There's still players that need to come in, still areas that we need to improve. So I think it's tough to predict where we'll finish. Most people are predicting us to be in the top two, and I think I'm gonna stick with that as well. I'm gonna stick with my confident side, not go into the team's not ready yet side. So I'll say we'll finish second. I think it's going to be close running up to the end of the season. But I think we need to finish top two this year because playoffs, as everyone knows, is a lottery, isn't it? Whoever's right on the day will win it. So yeah, I think we can't really risk it in the playoffs. So yeah, let's hope for top two, and I'll predict we'll finish second place. I think it's just with the signings we've made. I'm confident that we can go all the way. I'd love to be champions, but that'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Automatics, what you just want.
Automatics,
first
yeah.
or second?
No, let's just automatic promotion, and I'll be happy.
That's what Dan's going for. He's going for automatic promotion. What do you think? Let us know on Twitter where Ipswich Town finished the season. You are right, Dan. Playoffs is a lottery. We've seen Ipswich Town. They've been on the right side of that, but also they have been on the side where you do get bitten when you're in the playoffs. Well, the time is now upon us. Ipswich Town, they kick off the season at Portman Road in front of a full capacity crowd. Potentially 20,000 fans will be there. Over 19,000 tickets have been sold, but 20,000 fans are potentially going to be at Portman Road as Paul Cook's team looks to deliver on the fans' expectation and a new, I don't want to say new era, but but it is a new era. But we don't want to say new era because last time that happened, it all went a bit south quite quickly. But so shall we say a new era? Is that something?
Or a new era.
Okay, we'll take that. A new era.
Yeah.
You know, Morecambe are in town. They are the opposition. It's a town we'll face on the season opener, who have never played in League One at all in their 101 year history. This is the first time they've ever been in League One football. Dan, a big occasion here for the new players, the new owners as well. 20,000 fans are going to be in there, but they're going to be behind them, trying to help them get that 3 points. But they're playing against a Morecambe side that nobody really knows much about, only from League Two, but they have no prior experience in League One here. So they're going to be going all guns blazing for this because they want to make history on their debuts. But what could we possibly expect here from the season opener? And a score prediction, please, as always.
Yes, I'm quite confident, as I think most people are going into this first game of the season. I think it's good that we're playing a team that have just got promoted from League Two. But as you said, we don't really know much about Morecambe at all. You know what style they play. I didn't really take much notice of them in League Two, if I'm being totally honest. So it's really going to be interesting to see how we play against the Morecambe side. And I reckon they'll come here and want to sit back like a lot of teams did against us last year. But I think the difference of this year and last year is we've actually got players that can punish teams that do that this season. Obviously, we've got to be careful of the counter-attack as always, because I doubt we're going to make any defensive signings ready for tomorrow's game. It's a bit too late for that. So it's obviously going to be Nsiala and Wolfenden as the two centre-backs. But no, I'm confident, and I'm confident of a 2-0 win. I think there'll be a clean sheet in there and a decent performance, and I think we'll be fine. So yeah, 2-0 win for Town tomorrow on the first day.
So Dan is going for a 2-0 victory for Ipswich Town for the season opener. 3 points from the first game. What do you reckon is going to happen? Let us know on Twitter or even wherever. Let us know on our social medias what you think this Town score will be for Ipswich versus Morecambe. And that is everything for Ipswich Town this week. And when we come back, we're going to have enough time here to do a football roundup with lots of big news this week. So don't go anywhere.
Pitchside Talk, footy debate from the Premier League Outback.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on iRadio. It's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and Dan, as always. Now, before we move on, talk about a big football roundup this week. I better mention the social media. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk. Instagram is at Talk_pitch. YouTube and Mixcloud are both at Pitchside Talk. And if you missed anything from today's show, us talking about Ipswich Town in the pre-season chat that we did, and also previewing the up-and-coming season, which only is, less than 12 hours away now before kicking off. Do not worry, 6 p.m. on Friday. A few minutes after the show is done, it will be up on YouTube and Mixcloud, so you can listen back to whatever you want to in the show. Now, time for a football roundup, a big football roundup. And I'm starting off first this week. And I've got some big news. Lionel Messi. Well, Barcelona said the Argentine forward is not staying at the club. Yes, despite signing a contract on the 1st of July, he is now a free agent. He is not staying at Barcelona. Barcelona have said they can't afford him. Down to the financial situation that Barcelona are in currently at the moment, have to let him go because of his wages. So Lionel Messi is a free agent, 34. He's been linked with many, many clubs across the world. Where
I was going to say, hopefully Mark Ashton's on the phone.
Yeah, I'm hearing it right now.
Yeah.
I've currently got, when the show's end, I'm going to start, getting the hashtag was it hashtag ITK back
ITK,
up. I'm gonna get that back up and running, and Messi's gonna be on his way. And if it doesn't fall through, people can blame me, because that's what Mark Ashton did for all of it. But yeah, Lionel Messi is finally a free agent and he's on his way to Ipswich, and I can't wait to bump into him walking down the Ipswich waterfront outside ISIS, because that'd be quite funny. But Dan, what news you got for us?
So news came in as we were recording, didn't it? Some absolutely huge news. I mean, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it? Jack Grealish finally transfers to Manchester City for a whopping 100 million. You know, it smashes the British record for an amount on a player. Huge signing for Manchester City, isn't it? You know, a player that arguably, well, I'd say is England's best player. I think you know, and everyone on the show who listens knows how much I like Jack Grealish.
Love.
No, I don't want to say love.
Love.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, what a signing from Man City. I feel like he's gonna be massive for them, isn't he, this season? It's dragged on, this transfer, hasn't it? It's dragged on for ages.
Well, it's mad to think it's a 6-year deal as well. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a bit of
6-year
a-
deal.
He only was it last September he signed another 5-year deal with Villa. Villa trying to get him on another long-term deal, and Man City have gone on a 6-year deal. Big sign by Man City. Well, another target that Man City are chasing is Harry Kane. And the saga continues as the player has not turned up for training for 2 days in a row. Shock horror, as apparently there's been a standoff between the club and his interest of going to Manchester City. Apparently he's going to be fined for not being there. That's pretty funny. But it's a bit weird, really, because apparently Kane believes he has a gentleman's agreement with Daniel Levy, the chairman, that he can leave this summer. But Daniel Levy believes that agreement is not happening. They didn't have a gentleman's agreement, and Kane is talking absolute waffle. Man City, they're not offering enough money to sign Harry Kane. Apparently, they're offering 40 million too short of the 160 million that Tottenham currently value Harry Kane at. But when Nuno Espirito Santos spoke earlier in the week, he revealed that he hasn't even spoken to Kane. And he doesn't know what is going on with his future. So, lots of things happening. Man City signing Grealish, so surely Kane's off. But the saga continues. But we are apparently expecting, Harry Kane will turn up to training by the end of the weekend for the first training session of the season for Spurs. But the saga continues to Harry Kane. Nobody knows where he's going to be. He could be in a white shirt or a blue shirt. Your guess is as good as mine where he'll be. So yeah, that's everything for Harry Kane. And what more news have you got for us?
Yeah, so some more good news in football. That players from all 20 Premier League clubs are going to continue to take the knee. You know, there's so many idiot fans, isn't there, saying that this shouldn't be done, and it's bringing politics into football, which I don't really understand how it's bringing politics into football. But it's good to see that players are going to stand with this, because, you know, the message still needs to be put out, doesn't it? It can't be forgotten. It's still going on, so I think that this is a really good thing that the players and the Premier League as well are still backing it. Because I think during the Euros there was a lot of countries who are not doing it, and it was kind of there was a lot of booing from fans about it, wasn't there? But yeah, I think this is really good news going into the new season.
Yes, it's good to see, and also the EFL clubs are backed it as well, so which is very good.
Yes,
as well.
EFL,
I know Brentford were against the decision, but they're going to take the knee where Ivan Toney's going to be standing, and also Wolfenstein, I think, as well. But yes, but it's still good news that they're going to be still tackling it, because the issue hasn't gone away, and I think the Euro final has reflected that the situation is still very bad. And I've got one more bit of news for you, some very good news. Christian Eriksen, he has returned to the training ground of Inter Milan for the first time since suffering his cardiac arrest, and has said he is in excellent mental and physical shape. We do know that he's still on a long road to recovery, but he's still hoping that he can still play for Inter Milan, which we are hoping as well, because he's still a fantastic player. But we'll have to see what happens. But he is following all the medical advice and the recovery program very well. That's been put forward for him by the Danish doctors. And that is everything for your football roundup this week and for the show. We have hit the end of the show, Dan. At the end of the show for another week. But, you know, it's been a fascinating show. But will you be joining me for next week, where we will be talking about Ipswich Town football? Football that means something. A game that we're both going to. It's going to be mad. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be fun, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It'll be another good show next week after, hopefully, a win.
Hopefully a win. It will be a win, because I'm going to be there, and I always see them win.
Okay.
Not really.
No, I was going to say
three wins in my time going, and that's about 12-year window, so not very good. We keep quiet on that. So the social media, let's talk that is at Pitch Side Talk. Instagram is talk_pitch. YouTube and Mixcloud, both at Pitch Side Talk. If you missed anything from today's show, do not worry. In a few minutes' time, 6 p.m, it'll be up on YouTube and Mixcloud. Dan, I want to thank you as always for joining me on the show this week. I'll see you next week as always, and we will see you next week as always. So I've been George. He's been Dan. We'll see you next week, and ciao.
Yeah.
The whistle has been blown for full time. Tune in next week for another jam-packed show.